Hey everyone, this is Jalen Cook. This is my Module 12 video on tort liability. First of all, what is tort liability? So generally it's considered when a person does a civil wrong to another person and causes injury or harm. Now then, whenever we look at it in regards to school law, it is generally when teachers are liable for acts that may cause injury to a student while that student is under the teacher's supervision. There's two categories. There's intentional tort, which would be like planned harm to a student. And under that category falls assault, battery, false imprisonment, and defamation. Now, negligence is in regards to something that isn't planned but still causes harm to that student. So this would be duty to protect, breach of duty, proximate cause, and injury. Some cases that we can look at. Case 1 is Johnson versus School District of Millard. This was basically first graders were going to music class and their teacher was going to teach them how to play London Bridge, sing the song, and play the game with each other. And whenever she had 3 students demonstrate, Robbie Johnson was the student in the middle of the bridge. And the students got to swing the kid back and forth. And during this time, the student supposedly told them to stop several times. And after the demonstration started, the teacher turned her back to write on her whiteboard. And when she turned her back, the student got flung into a bookcase and hurt his eye really bad to where it caused some pretty bad eye damage, and he had to get 50 stitches to repair that. And, now then the teacher said that she only turned her back for about 7 to 12 seconds because that's how long the song took to sing. But again, the student said that it was longer than that and that he said to stop several times. Some things that we can learn from this, things that would happen after as far as reactive measures. It might not be a bad idea to have an instructional aide to assist with classes that aren't in a traditional setting. So that would be like PE, shop, music, anything really where they're not in a traditional classroom setting, because it is a little bit harder to manage, especially when kids get a little bit of freedom. Also, I don't think it's a bad idea to have cameras in classrooms and gyms. We have them at our school, and at first I was totally against it, and I thought, this is kind of an invasion of privacy. But now then, I'm telling you guys, I just feel almost a little bit safer, especially in a day and time where our world is so happy that they're designed to protect the teacher and the students. So they aren't a bad thing and they aren't to spy on you. Proactive measures would be know your students and the activities that you're doing. Think about foreseeable events and then be extremely clear on rules. Now then, all of this goes into knowing that you're working with first grade students. You're teaching students how to play the game for the first time. You should know the foreseeable event that would happen is that those kids might get a little bit carried away. Now then, I also think that as a teacher, you should know with first graders that you might need to write on the board before, because once they get in there, you really shouldn't be taking your eyes off those kids that are learning a new game. And then the professional ethics here would be plan ahead. Know the groups of kids that you're putting together. Like with those 3 boys, maybe they always play a little bit rough and he happened to get slung into the bookcase. Case 2 is Brahatsek, I believe is how you say that, versus Millard School District. So in this case, this was in a PE class. A little boy got struck with a golf club. And it was unintentional, but negligence still fell on the PE teacher. Now, what happened was the student was absent on the first day of instruction. And then on day 2, whenever he actually came in to start playing, he was never given proper instruction on how to handle the golf club. So one of his friends came over to help. David was the kid that was killed. To help David, and while the boy was helping David, the kid took 2 practice swings and David was standing behind him, and then whenever he stepped up to the golf ball to actually take a real swing, David scooted up and the kid actually hit David in his backswing. There were 2 teachers in the gym. One was with the girls and one was with the boys. And I believe that the article said there were 34 boys in the gym and 26 girls. That's a lot of kids in one gym for 2 teachers to watch whenever there is swinging and different activities going on that students aren't used to playing. The boys' teacher was helping another student at that time, and David's family ended up receiving about $53,000 worth of damages. David was in the hospital for 2 days, and then he passed away. So what can we learn from this? We're actually starting a golf unit tomorrow, so this was kind of eye-opening for me, just because you really need to think about how careful you have to be in all situations. So reactive would be set clear barriers to keep students from getting too close. And it wouldn't just be during golf, but in all things that you're swinging something, a bat, a club, in shop class, have less students in a PE class. That is a lot of kids to have in one little gym. Proactive measures would be, again, very similar to what I said with the first grade case. Know your students and the activities. Think about the foreseeable events. You have to know that when you're swinging golf clubs, there's a good chance that a kid might get hit from behind. Be extremely clear on the rules. If a student is not there, you need to take them aside and explain, because that's lack of preparation on the teacher's part. And then reiterate the barriers and the need to make sure no one is behind every day. It's okay to repeat yourself, especially whenever it comes to safety. Professional ethics. This is something that I didn't type in there, but I need to talk about. The instructions on the mats where the kids were swinging golf clubs had specific instructions on where to set them up, and the teacher did not read those or follow them. You also need to know what rules must be explained every day, and also if you need to put rules in writing. Case 3 is Daniels versus Lutz. Teacher Mrs. Lutz was disciplining a student in the hallway. When she came back in, the class was extremely loud and disruptive. So there was a student, Johnston, was hit in the eye with a file folder because he was bending over his desk to grab something on the floor. So she basically kind of got aggravated, and he was down there, and so she just swung this folder up and hit him in the eye. She tried to hold him in his chair and keep him from leaving when the bell rang, and the student ended up having chronic problems with his eye. The folder actually cut his cornea. So what can we learn from this case? Set rules in place for when a teacher steps out of the room to discipline a student. Proactive measures would be maintain discipline in the classroom without physical touch. You should have something in place for when you do step out of the classroom, and it might not hurt when you do step out of the classroom to, have another teacher come in, so that your kids don't get out of hand, which, I'm not a big proponent of stepping out to discipline a kid. If I'm going to send a kid out, I'm probably going to be sending them to the office. Train teachers on discipline strategies. That's a huge one. And then the professional ethics here, you have got to control your temper. I know kids can aggravate us, but you can't let it get the best of you. And then definitely do not lay hands on a student. Case 4 is Shaylin versus Glen Cove School District. A 13-year-old girl actually left campus during lunch to meet a family friend that she lived with. Both her and the boy she was with ingested poison and died. And the school was found not guilty. They cannot be expected to monitor every move. But you must look at foreseeable circumstances. So the reason I included this in here is because we have a lot of kids that kind of wander around during lunch. Our middle school kids are not allowed to leave campus, but our high school kids are. And I just really feel like we probably need to do a better job of monitoring who kids are going with. And, I know we can't be there for every situation, but, at least try to pay attention to behaviors and see what's going on. So the reactive measures here would be set more strict supervision in regards to lunchtime, have more people on duty. Maybe that requires you actually putting a fence up around your campus, and that helps keep people out and keep people in. The kids think that it's a prison, but really it is a safety measure. Proactive measures would be know who students can leave campus with. This is huge. Just because this boy was living with the family does not mean that the girls should have left campus with him. Make sure attendance is taken regularly, and then look for abnormal behaviors in students. Case 5, this was one that was in our readings provided. This was Flanagan versus Canton, and the reason I chose this is because I am a coach and it hit close to home for me. 5th grade PE students were getting a little rowdy after playing basketball in PE. They were sent to the locker room to change, and the coach was talking to another student. The boys go in the locker room to change and end up getting in a fight. Flanagan suffered several injuries, and he had to have an emergency splenectomy, and negligence was the ruling. So what can we learn here? Make sure there's always someone in the locker room to monitor students. I really am in there sometimes, but I haven't been in there a whole lot, and after reading this, I definitely will make more of an effort and make sure that another coach is also aware that one of us needs to be in there when the kids are changing. The proactive measures would be hold kids that are fighting after class rather than sending them together with everyone else. Try to stop arguing before it goes too far. I don't know if this could have been prevented. I wasn't there to see the actual situation pan out, but maybe it could have been stopped before it got to the point of them actually fighting. And then the professional ethics in this case would be look for abnormal behaviors in students and don't leave students unattended. So overall, it is a scary thing thinking about all these cases just because we are in a sue happy society. But the main thing is just be aware. Be aware of what your job is to monitor students, and that if we are out there to monitor students, that we need to have our full attention on them, not looking off in the parking lot, not talking to other students. And that is difficult, but it just has to be done. You have to be aware of everything that's going on. So here are my references for all of these cases and the information that I got for this video. So thanks for watching.